Hello and welcome to the Browns Blitz. This is episode number 297 on Thursday, May 22nd. I'm your host, Rod Bloom. Today, I'm going to bring in my brother, Jeff. Hey, Jeff, how are things going?
Going good. I'm thinking about building an ark, but other than that, everything's great.
Yeah, it's I mean, we've had a chance to rain just about every day, so it's whether it comes or not, something different. But speaking of something different,
I'm glad I'm not trying to.
Well, I was just going to say, Jeff, this is our first live show. Of course, the Browns Blitz is part of the Fanatical Elves Network, Fans First Sports Network, and catch us live tonight. So feel free to comment, jump in, let us know what you're thinking. And
we'll be fielding questions from the peanut gallery tonight.
We just may be, but yeah, you can find us on YouTube, on Facebook, and of course on X. So any one of those ways through the Fanatical Elves Network. Be sure and check us out and the other shows within the network. We appreciate everybody doing that. So, all right. Well, let me. What do you say we bring our guest in, Jeff?
Sounds good.
All right. We're going to bring in Eric Platt. You can follow him at, is it ApexDawg? ApexDawg NC, right?
You got it, brother. You got it.
I didn't write it down. I knew there was something after the ApexDawg, and I'm like, okay, it's NC because you're down in North Carolina.
Well, funny enough, I had to log into Chrome to get this thing to work, and so it asked me for my username. I'm like, oh crap, got to remember exactly. Do I have the NC after it or not? But I got it right. So
yeah,
good to see you both.
Great to see you.
Yeah. You too.
And cool to be on the first video live stream. That's fun.
Absolutely. So
let's hope so.
Yeah. Had to take a second to retweet that, guys, so people can actually see us and find us on X. And I got to do some other things on my side a little bit, so I guess this works a little bit differently, but should be kind of seamless for you guys. So before we kind of get rolling with it, we always do our Blitz beverages. So if I can find the right banner here, looky there, it says Blitz beverages. You see that, guys?
Love it. Yep.
Let's talk about what we're drinking tonight. So Eric, you're the guest. You get to go first.
Well, apparently my better half said only Coke Zero tonight. See, it says better half there. You guys can see that.
Better half, nice.
Yeah, no, I wish I've been traveling, so the fridge was empty other than Coke Zero, so didn't get a chance to get any beer or anything. So I'm boring tonight, but maybe Jeff will pick us up a little bit.
You're good. You've been traveling, so yeah. Go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
Somewhat limited, Eric. Since I don't do alcohol, I've got limited options. But so tonight I grabbed another green bottle to make it kind of semi-invisible. But this is a Stella Zero.
Browns Blitz magic trick, guys.
So, anyway, I like these. This tonight felt like a Stella to me.
Well, I was up in New York for a board meeting, so it would have been nice to have like a Jack and Diet or something like that, but didn't have it ready to go. So it is
next time. Next time.
That's right.
Yeah, it's all right. We'll let you slide.
Yeah, well, I'll try to rescue the segment here, guys. Oh, Jeff, this is from Sloop Brewing too. I don't realize I got more than one from Sloop Brewing. This is a double fresh pressed juice bomb, hazy double IPA with fresh orange zest. 8-ounce can. I think it says 8%. Might be 6. You'll see why I'm struggling, guys. It's like yellow and orange. It looks very clear on the screen there, but it's kind of half dark in the room I'm sitting in, so I can't see it very well. But it tastes good to me. So that's the main thing.
So I'd give it a shot.
Nice.
Yeah, it tastes good.
Nice.
And I have 2 cans in the refrigerator, so that must mean I haven't had one yet. Haven't talked about it on the show yet, so
Right.
there we go. So we're gonna go.
Cheers, guys. Cheers to our
cheers.
first live
Cheers.
episode.
Yeah. Cheers.
Blue.
Throw down some Coke Zero.
Yeah.
And guys, before we end the segment, I got to bring up one more thing, okay? And I won't get emotional, but we had the passing of George Wendt just a few days ago, and I know Cheers was one of Jeff's favorite shows, so I think it's only fair that we raise a glass to, or a can or a bottle, whatever, to Norm, and probably Jeff's favorite show of all time.
Normie.
A lot of good memories. A lot of good memories there.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
To Norm.
All right.
Are we drinking anything else? All right. I think we covered the drinking.
Nope,
That's
nobody
pretty
else.
good.
Nobody else out there wants to drop their favorite beverage.
I think that'll do it for right now. So
Okay.
all right, guys. So
Different
man,
experience here.
Browns news. You know,
We have Jeremy toasting us.
Jeremy's toasting us. Yeah.
Cheers,
Oh,
Jeremy.
he's drinking Land Shark. Cheers, Jeremy.
All right.
There you go. There you go.
All right, and back to the Browns news. You know, we got stuff to talk about tonight, but as far as news, man, it's the same stuff over and over again, isn't it, guys? Same stuff.
Yeah. Oh my
It's
gosh.
that time of year, right?
It is. It is. Let me just ask you guys a quick question. When you guys heard about Deshaun Watson throwing to Jerry Jeudy, and I can't remember who else it was, Tillman or one of the other guys. I think it was to David Ball. Did that
David
bother
Ball.
you guys?
I'll just say
It's not
it
David
didn't.
Ball.
It didn't
Anyways.
bother me. It didn't bother me, and here's why: the guy's under contract. He's trying to rehab. I don't think he's going to play for the Browns, right? We've got an insurance policy to collect on for the 26 salary cap. So unless he makes some miraculous recovery, I don't see them. He's going to start on the PUP list, and then by I don't know whatever it is, week 7 or whatever, they're going to probably put him on IR. But they don't need to do that right now because, they just don't need to do it, right? But my opinion is they can't keep the guy from trying to better himself to land on another team. Like I imagine that would be an NFLPA violation. So they've got he's under contract. He's got to have access to the facilities. I mean, I guess they could. I mean, I don't know what the rules are there. I don't think they could keep him out. But I mean, from that perspective, it doesn't bother me.
I fear you're probably right. I don't think there's anything they can do about it. As much as I would like him to not be in the building, to be off somewhere on his own rehabbing and stuff, they probably have to have him there. So
and Haslam said it right. Yeah. He's already
right.
How do you go back on what he said?
He's done. He's not going to play for the Browns anymore. I mean, why would they have any intention of playing him again after drafting 2 quarterbacks and and trading for a 3rd quarterback, and they got a whole new quarterback room.
And collecting a 1st-round draft pick next year only to bolster our chances of getting another quarterback. It's not going to be. Yeah, I think Deshaun is done. Yeah.
I would agree.
Well, I hate to be the devil's advocate, but what if we end up with 3 guys on the roster to start the season, and Watson is, maybe they don't put him on the PUP list because for whatever reason he's just not eligible, right? Maybe they think he's going to be healthy partway through the season, and then maybe they can trade him or something, right? But what happens? We break camp with 3 guys, we trade 1 away, and they all get hurt. And here we are in week 12, and the only healthy guy on the roster is Deshaun Watson, right?
Right.
I mean,
that's the reason why you don't put him on that's the reason why you don't put him on IR right now. You take advantage of the NFL calendar and you follow it by the letter of the law, which is what they'll do, and At some point, once they know who their quarterbacks are, they probably will put him on the PUP. And then when he's eligible to come off the PUP, they'll go ahead and I think they'll get 3 weeks after you're eligible to come off the PUP. You get 3 weeks to be activated. They'll wait that full 3 weeks, and then they'll put him on IR. That's the way I see it going. That's an insurance policy for the team, right?
All I can say is if that happens, the Browns are probably trending toward having a top 3 to 5 pick anyways. So it's probably not going to be such a horrible thing. If they throw him out there and give the fans another chance to boo him, for a few games, and I don't think anybody's going to care at that point if he gets booed.
No.
I was there for that game.
Everybody's ready to move
on.
on.
I was in town for.
Yeah. The boo, when he got hurt.
Yeah, so we try to go to a couple games. We always try to go to an October game because it's Cancer Awareness Month, our month there. And so we were up there, and I picked that game primarily because I knew Nick Chubb would be back by then. Mm-hmm. And so that was Chubb's first game. So, y'all, if you weren't in the stadium, during when they were calling the players out one by one and they were doing the offense, I mean, they saved Chubb for last, obviously. But the difference between the crowds booing when Watson came out versus when Chubb came out, it was if the top of the stadium blew off when Chubb came out. And it was an awkward day. Very awkward day.
Yeah, I can imagine. Two guys at completely opposite ends of the spectrum.
Totally.
The Browns.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Right. So, guys, I don't want to take a ton of time with this, but I don't know if you guys looked over the rule changes. I just figured we'd go over this real quick and kind of get some of your thoughts on. There's really only 4 or 5 rule changes coming up this year. And some of them aren't even changes. Some of them are just keeping things the same. So everybody knows they voted to keep the tush push. That's been all over everywhere. And the Browns voted to keep it. Whatever. I mean, eventually somebody's going to figure out how to stop that.
In our playbook.
Well, yeah. I'm thinking, why did we vote to keep that? The Browns must, have plans to utilize that, right? Or they think they can stop it.
Well, I think I was just thinking about this.
I don't think anybody's going to stop it.
Well,
somebody's got to stop it eventually, right?
Well, let's peel that back a little bit, because if they change the rule, so the rule used to be you could not push or pull to advance a runner, and then they got rid of that rule. So think about what we do in our running game when we had Kareem Hunt and Nick. They would get hit, and they're strong enough to withstand a couple blows, and next thing you know, you see Teller come out of the blue and just push the pile. Right? That's no different. That's no different. That would be a rule violation as well. So we're probably thinking, hey, we may not necessarily run the tush push, but we certainly are going to run the ball a lot, and we're going to leverage Teller in that way. So
that makes sense. Yeah, because if they get rid of the tush push, those other pushes could become illegal too.
Yeah, that's right.
Eventually,
that's right.
Right.
Yeah. So that's one thing that was discussed. Next thing is the team, if they're trailing, can now declare that they're going to do an onside kick in any quarter of the game. That's going to happen all the time in the first, second, and third quarter. That you're going to tell the other team that you're going to try an onside kick. So
which is still going to fail 94% of the time.
Yeah, it's not going to change much.
I think they've toyed with the kickoff way too much. I mean, now you don't have the element of surprise anymore where you line up in a standard kickoff formation. You guys remember the game? This was a long time ago. This is when Dennis Northcutt was still playing. But do you remember when we were playing the Titans and Dawson kicked that sky kick and Northcutt ran down under it and caught it just before he went out of bounds? It essentially was an onside kick, but he did a pop kick, and that all that element of surprise, and those are when you have special teams weapons, those things are great plays, but you can't do it anymore.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So I'm going to skip a few of these because they've where's the Oh yeah, they're moving the onside kick is from the not from the 35 anymore. It's from the 34, guys. 34-yard line.
Why?
Oh,
I have no idea. Just to make sure everybody's paying attention, I guess. And they're saying NFL players are going to be eligible to play in the 28 Olympics for flag football. Hopefully nobody gets hurt in flag football. The overtime rules are now going to mirror the 24 playoff overtime rules where both teams get a possession. And
Regardless of what?
yeah. So you're going to have some, yeah. And if it's tied after both teams get a possession, then it goes to sudden death. There's going to be more review, the potential of more review for some penalties. That'll be via a challenge flag. That's for hitting a defenseless player, face mask, horse collar, tripping, roughing the kicker. So the coach cannot throw. He can't throw a flag if a penalty wasn't called, but he can challenge a penalty if it was called.
Okay.
And the thing that amazes me is now this Hawkeye cameras thing measuring the first downs. Are they going to use this camera for placement of the ball too? We talked a little bit about this a while back, Jeff, because the officials
That's a
put the
great
ball
question.
down so arbitrarily, but we're going to use a camera,
Right.
like a 8D camera or something to check within a
Right.
millimeter to see if it's a first down, but they're just going to throw it between three officials and set it down completely arbitrarily. And then we're going to check it to a
Right.
millimeter
And
to
you
see
can
if
only
it's a
challenge
first
the
down.
spot in certain situations. Yeah. It's stupid. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
until they
Wow.
can actually tell where the ball should have been spotted in the first place, what difference does it make? Why did they even measure? Who really cares? It's totally arbitrary whether teams get first downs or not. We know
Right.
this. It's just part of the game.
They're trying to be perfect on everything right now.
They're
It's
trying to
just
be
not-
perfect, but you can't be perfect in a sport that
No.
has such an arbitrary nature to certain things.
I mean, think
You know?
about how the yard and distance is kept. It's kept with two sticks and a chain. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no exactness to it, and that's okay.
And the sticks
Yeah.
and the chain are going to be really for show now,
Yeah,
because they're
right,
going to
right.
use these cameras and all this stuff. But
Soon it'll be a video game, guys. They
it'll
won't
be a
even.
video game.
Yeah.
So touchbacks now come out to the 35-yard line because we haven't messed with kickoffs enough yet, Eric.
Jeez.
We want guys running. We want guys.
Think about it.
I guess you want them running it out less than, right? I mean,
Think about
they're-
this.
they're-
I was just going to say, think about this, guys. If these rules existed in the early 2000s, Josh Cribbs wouldn't have had a career.
no
Right.
kidding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
35. Yeah.
I mean, just
35.
the whole kickoff, kick return game, the rules and everything. It just, I get it. We're trying to prevent concussions, and concussions are no good. But
Why are we carrying a kick returner? Why would we do that?
yeah, I don't know.
All you need is a guy who catch the ball.
Catch the ball. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, very seldom do you actually need a guy to return the ball. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And the last thing is it was about teams talking to free agents directly during the negotiating window. It's something the Steelers wanted, so versus talking through their agents or something. So whatever. So yeah,
Okay.
that's it. Just a bunch of stuff with the kickoffs and
Exciting.
and push stays pretty much. So
Yeah.
whole lot of talk about
Okay.
the stadium. You guys care?
No.
Well, so okay, so you guys are lucky enough to still live in the area. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, just outside in Apex, North Carolina. In case people wonder how I got my Twitter name, but it matters to me, and here's why: it's nostalgia. So now I would vote for a dome all day long too. I wish there would have been a way, which I know there's not, to have put a dome on the lakefront. Now here's the reason why. When we come up there, part of the fun, now maybe this will be replicated in some sense once the whole town, the small community that they're going to create around the stadium. But part of the fun to me is getting a hotel, because we fly in, right? And I bring my daughters with me and my wife, and we come up there. And part of the fun is walking around the city. Usually when we go, there's Guardian games going on, so we catch one of those, and we walk down to all the restaurants and to some of the Cleveland Clothing Company, and we do all that. And then we make our way in the morning down the various paths to walk through all the parties, right? And all the music's playing and everybody's having fun. And then we really enjoy it. We usually sit in the club level overlooking the lake. And we like to get in there right at 11:30 and have lunch and enjoy the view of the lake, and then go to our seats. And I just feel like that's going to be hard to replicate. Well, they're not going to replicate it, but that experience is what I enjoy, and I've enjoyed it. I was born in '76, and I can remember Old Municipal Stadium and what that was like. And not that was a great stadium in the '80s, but peeing in the troughs, probably
the
not.
troughs, the legendary troughs. Yeah,
probably not the best memories, but
right.
But it was fun. So I don't know, that part of it I'll miss, but I'm sure I've been fortunate. I've been able to go to a Browns Patriots game in Foxborough, and if they're going to build it similar to what that environment is like, it will be nice, because they have everything wrapped around the stadium, restaurants, hotels, tons of obviously tailgating going on. So I could see them doing something like that. And plus it'll be better for the greater Cleveland area to have year-round events there. So I see it both ways, I guess.
Well, I mean, what you described seems to be the plan.
I was listening to.
Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
I was listening to somebody this week talk about the stadium. I don't remember who it was, but the point basically was that, we've got tradition with that new stadium, but not a whole lot of good has happened in that stadium since '99. I mean, there's really all we've done there is lose, really. So,
right.
It's kind of it's nostalgia from before that, right? But it's not
2 playoff games,
but
that's it.
I have two
great memories.
I have 2 fond memories, and that's it. And out of all I've been up there, I can only point to 2 really great memories. One was the William Run game against Atlanta. I was in the opposite end of the dog pound for that game, and he ran right towards us, which was incredible. And then I was there for the COVID game where we beat Pittsburgh to go to the playoffs. I was in the stadium for that, and so that outside of that, you're right. It's nothing but a bunch of L's. Sad.
It's true. It's true. Right? But I mean, I think everybody's at least been to a couple games that they like there. But I mean, it's certainly nothing. It's not to the point where this team can't build a new, stronger tradition in a new stadium. There's not that much to leave behind at this point. And I know there's a whole debate about, indoor, outdoor, and some people want the advantage of the cold, and other people like Jeff say you're freaking crazy. I'm freezing.
The Saints kicked our butt in December.
Right.
Yeah, what the heck?
Warm weather teams come here and kick our ass. I mean, what's the difference?
Yeah.
Right.
A dome team in the South.
Home field advantage.
Yeah. I mean, just build a good team that's able to play in the dome,
and the people will come,
and that would work. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So,
jeez.
Yeah. There's a new Nick Chubb video.
Correct one thing, Rod.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Just one quick correction, Rod. From last week, I talked about the dome coming and when. We're actually going to play in the existing stadium through the 28 season. So that's when the lease expires. Okay, so it would actually be the 29 season.
29.
We would be playing in the dome. So I was a year off, and I just wanted to correct that.
we have 4 years, 4
Yeah.
seasons
Right.
left. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Just imagine the limited amount of maintenance in that stadium over the next 4 years.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna go down.
Why
real
would they
fast.
put any money into it? Yeah.
If it's not
Yeah.
falling apart, why fix it at this point?
Right.
Right.
If it's not falling down, or
Yeah.
you know, if it doesn't represent a significant danger to anybody,
Right.
Yep.
probably not
Right.
getting fixed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you guys seen the newest Nick Chubb video of
Yeah, I
him
did.
training?
Cutting.
We got to
and
talk
running
about
uphill.
Nick Chubb each week. So yeah, and yeah, I replied to that, and a couple people said, "Man, he looks slow." I said, well, "He's running uphill in the first half of it.
Yeah.
See how
Looks
fast
slow.
you can run when you're running uphill
Yeah.
and going side to side."
Well, I purposely wore this jersey for this because I don't know. I like Myles Garrett. I won't say I'm a huge Myles Garrett fan. I love David Njoku, but without Nick Chubb, we've got I don't know. This from an offensive weapon perspective, and just guys we loved on the team. We're starting to turn the whole thing over, right? And it's that's what happens when people get older. But at the same time, I think he can still play, and just maybe
so,
and maybe that I'm being empathetic because we love him so much. But gosh, man, give him one more shot to see what he can do. He's not going to cost us an arm and a leg. Why not? Why not put him in the rotation? I mean, do we really want to keep Pierre Strong?
No.
Yeah.
No. I don't. And it's nothing against Pierre Strong. I mean, he's
No.
okay. He's not bad, but I would rather see Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
So Eric, if they were to sign Nick Chubb, are you carrying 4 running backs?
Yeah, that's the question, right?
Yeah, that's the issue because I'm afraid we're going to carry 3 quarterbacks, and that gives us 4 running backs, and that kind of really puts a lot of pressure on the roster as to where limits you on some other spots if you're going because normally you're going 2 and 3 probably, right?
Yeah, I mean, no, we're definitely in a really weird spot with the depth at quarterback. Not that I don't want to sit here and say we have strong depth because when you have 4 quarterbacks, guess what, guys? You have none.
We just
yeah. So I think we're going to run the ball a lot this year. So my question is, when we do throw the ball, who's the best pass protector that we have? And I would argue right now, Nick Chubb is the best pass protector we have. He's the only one I would trust back there. I mean, Ford, he's okay, but he's not Nick Chubb in pass pro. So I don't know. I don't
know about the rookies. Yeah, I don't know enough about the rookies to
just that they're rookies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we've seen the last of Nick Chubb. I've said this before. I think if we get ourselves into a situation where we need a running back, I think Nick will be available. If another team was going to give him a chance, I think they would have by now. Right?
I agree.
I think he's going to be available, and there's a possibility that he's an add to the roster later in the year. So since we're talking about Nick Chubb and running backs, this might be a good time to do a little exercise I put together on running backs. Okay.
This means hey Eric, this means put your thinking cap on because Jeff's going to quiz us a little bit.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, it's not a lot. It's not much of a quiz really, but I'll see what you think here. We drafted the 2 running backs, Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson. Both of these guys played 3 years of college football. So I thought it would be kind of fun to look at what those 2 guys did in 3 years of college football as compared to where that would put them on the Browns all-time rushing list. just for those 3 years. So in other words, if they can replicate what they did in college, okay, in their first 3 years with the Browns, okay, where would it put them on the all-time list in some various categories? Okay,
Judkins
So-
and Sampson. Oh,
Yes,
what they
so
did in
let's-
their
yeah. So
what they
Quinshawn
did last
Judkins-
year or for their whole
No, college
Career.
career. So
Okay.
Quinshawn Judkins played 3 years of college football, 2 at Ole Miss, 1 at OSU. Okay, so he played 42 games. He ran the ball 739 times for 3,785 yards and 45 touchdowns. Okay, so let's just break those out and look at where that would put him all time on the Browns rushing list. Okay. In terms of total yards, 3,785. Where do you think that puts him on the Browns' all-time rushing list?
I'm gonna
3,700. It's
3,785.
say
it's pushing top 10.
It's
honestly.
definitely top 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, he would be 8th all-time behind Marion Motley. Okay. His 739 attempts would also be 9th right behind Marion Motley. Okay.
Okay.
wow.
Yeah. In terms of his touchdowns, 45 touchdowns, that would be 6th all time
That's a bundle.
behind Kevin Mack.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And his yards per attempt, 5.1 yards per attempt in his career in college,
Fourth.
would be exactly the same as Nick Chubb's career
Nick
average.
Chubb, I was
But
gonna
ties him
say.
for third. Ties him
Okay.
for third.
Yeah, it's actually 5th all time. There's
For
a
the-
couple other guys who didn't have as many attempts.
Oh, well,
but,
I'm going with significant attempts. Yeah.
Yeah. So not top 10 rushers, but yes. So then I looked at Dylan Sampson. This is where it really gets fun. Okay. Dylan Sampson played 3 years of college football at Tennessee, 35 games, 422 attempts, 2,492 yards, and 35 touchdowns. Okay. So the 2,492 yards, where do you think that puts him on the all-time rushing list for the Browns?
Well, a little further down, so probably
15th.
Yeah, I was gonna say 13 to 15, somewhere
Puts
in
him
there.
12th.
12.
12th
Okay.
behind Jamal Lewis, who played 40 games, right?
Well, where's Metcalf fall on that list?
Eric Metcalf in terms of yards.
Yeah, rushing yards.
He
Probably has more
has
receiving yards.
2,229 rushing yards in 47 games. He
Eric
averaged
is really
3.8
high
yards.
on the all-purpose yards.
All-purpose, correct.
For sure.
Yeah.
is
Kick returns, punt returns,
yeah,
receptions.
and receiving yards. Yeah.
Excellent receiver. Went to Atlanta and became a receiver. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. So his 422 attempts would be 22nd all time behind Bobby Mitchell, and his 35 touchdowns would be 7th all time behind Otto Graham.
Wow.
Right?
Interesting.
And here's the real kicker. Okay, his yards per attempt at Tennessee, his average was 5.9, which would be number one
first.
all time.
Yeah.
Not just for the Browns, all time.
That would
Okay.
that would
Right?
well
For-
being
for-
number
for
one on the
running
Browns and
backs.
number
For
one in the
backs, right.
NFL are the same, are one and the same now.
Right. So anyway, so I thought, when I went through that and looked at all that stuff, I thought, man, if these guys are even close to what they did in college, those 3 years, we're going to have a pretty dang scary backfield. Just looking at what they did in college, right? And then just to wrap it all up, I found this really ironic. Quinshawn Judkins chose number 10 as his jersey number.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Sampson chose number 22. What do you get when you add those two together?
Jim Brown.
Jim Brown.
You got it, baby.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've not
So
done the
let's-
math
you know
on
what?
that one yet. That's pretty awesome.
Let's hope these guys can do what we think they'll do, and you talk about the changeover in players and who are we going to root for and stuff. If we go all in on running this year like we think we're going to, it could be a lot of fun watching these guys play.
Yeah. And Rod, looks like Amber's got a question. I want to know.
Yeah, Amber 7. So she's talking about Nick Chubb? Isn't he rumored to sign with the Bears? Amber, I've seen that rumor going around for quite a long time. I'm thinking that
it hasn't happened.
It hasn't happened. So I think that if it was going to happen, it probably would have happened by now. So, I mean, you never know. There could be other teams in the same spot as where Jeff described, where they're thinking, well, if something happens to a back, we'll sign Nick Chubb. But
yeah,
man, if somebody really had an interest in him, if somebody really had an interest in him, I think he would have been signed by now. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough because I'm with you, Eric. I love Nick Chubb. I mean, me and 80 million other people, he's our favorite player. Okay.
No doubt. Yep.
Yeah, we would love to see him back on the Browns, but we would also just like to see him have a job and a chance to play this year too, because I'm with you. I have so much confidence in him. I think the odds are pretty good that he would look better this year than he did last year after that knee injury. Coming back in his second year. I mean, I don't think the foot is that much of him for him to come back from. It's the knee,
Yeah, exactly.
And I think he would probably look better this year than he did last year. And last year, it was the offense too. It wasn't just Nick that made him look.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask you guys. I know we're talking about how potent the run game could be, but football is such a team sport, right? Everything, you hear him talk about complementary football, and it really, that's a real thing. And when you hear that, like our running game last year was god awful. It was not good. Our passing game arguably was worse. And so one could say, well, we couldn't run the ball because they were stacking the box because we knew we couldn't throw the ball. And so it's so complementary. And we were with so many injuries across the offensive line. I think my biggest concern going into this new year, though, is going to be, is that offensive line ready? The pundits who don't really pay very close attention to Cleveland still think it's, the number one. You hear people go, oh, that offensive line is so good. And I'm looking at it saying, I think it's got some issues, actually.
The offensive line,
we don't even know who's playing left tackle. We assume it's DeJuan Jones.
Right.
But he's coming back from injury. He's been often injured. And so we got a swing tackle as our backup right now. I think we've got depth issues on the offensive line, personally.
I think there's a lot more reason to be optimistic about the defense than there is the offense again.
Definitely.
We can hope that the offense is going to be much improved because of, the draft picks, the running game, and I hope that of the stable of quarterbacks we have, that whoever's out there playing can do better and get some better results than what happened. Last season. I
think I actually feel better about our offensive line depth this year than I did last year, to be honest, Eric. I mean, going out and getting Tavon Jenkins and Cornelius Lucas, those are two veteran guys that know what the deal is, right? And you should be able to count on them to step in. I mean, last year we were counting on James Hudson and DeJuan Jones, young guys with some talent, right? But I think having those veteran guys available gives me a little bit more comfort on the offensive line. But I've been screaming for them to draft some guys for the last couple of years,
and we'll get Luke Whippler's back. Luke Whippler's back, so we have some depth at center finally, and hopefully
Zenner's better this year, right? So there's definitely a lot of question marks, but I think
there is some positive stuff. Yeah.
But I think that's why you're a little reluctant to play a rookie early. Let
Yeah.
those guys get things figured out before you throw a rookie in there.
You ever think one of the reasons they drafted Gabriel, knowing that he's a left-hander, is because they kind of think DeJuan Jones is probably a better right tackle, but Stefanski absolutely loves Conklin. So you kind of wonder, Conklin could potentially become the de facto left tackle, covering the blind side of Gabriel. Kind of interesting, right?
Yeah, I
I'm just
thought a
curious.
little bit about
I
that.
hadn't
How
really
that
thought
would
about
make
that.
left tackle less important. Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, kudos for bringing that up on the show, because I've thought about that a couple times and haven't thought to bring it up on the show.
Yeah.
It could be a reason that they, another reason, I think, some of the reasons they like him are obvious. I think just
He's
his
athletic.
experience and
Yeah.
athleticism, his accuracy, things like that.
Yeah.
We also know why people don't like him, but
he
we're
does look a little
now.
smaller in that picture when they
He
showed
looks
the four
smaller.
quarterbacks.
he's smaller, but smaller guys have succeeded, so I'm not willing to write him off just yet. I want to see what he can do. We'll see what happens. So
I've said it before. If I'm a betting man, I'm saying, of the four guys that are on the roster right now, who has the best chance to be on the roster in 26? Dylan Gabriel, for sure. I don't know that he is the answer as a franchise quarterback, but I believe he's going to be with this team long term.
Yeah.
And the idea that you can build an offense around him, specifically because he's left-handed, makes a lot of sense. Maybe that's partial explanation for the DeJuan Jones and not going to get a better left tackle, right? Might make sense.
Right. And that was kind of my thought process too.
A couple of comments from Jeffrey Champion, guys. Thanks for listening, Jeffrey. I think that Tevin Jenkins is going to start at left tackle. I think he's capable of playing that position. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think he's a guy who I think people like, but has had trouble staying healthy. So, man, I hope these guys come in and just play really well. I hope there's competition. Let's put it that way, man. If the Browns have a choice to make it left tackle, wouldn't that be great?
Yeah. No, I was going to say the same thing. Competition's never a bad thing. So having those guys push each other, that's going to bring out the best in all of them. So.
Yeah.
Well, and you said it before, Eric, that DeJuan Jones has a history of injury. So, yeah, I think it's a very true statement that Tevin Jenkins is going to start at left tackle. I just don't know when.
Right.
Well, I think we're talking week 1, but yeah. Anyways, yeah. We'll see. It's interesting because I could imagine, probably 3 guys that could be starting at left tackle week 1. You just don't know. So,
yeah.
Okay, guys, I want to mix it up here. Let's and we'll use Jeffrey's other question to get this one going, because the Browns still have some room at wide receiver, to improve the room. As much as I would like to see him play all these young guys, it kind of be nice to have another vet in the building, whether it's by trade or free agency, for these quarterbacks to throw to while we're trying to assess the quarterbacks. You want somebody with sure hands. So Keenan Allen is a guy who's available. Keenan Allen's 32 years old. Last season, 70 receptions, 744 yards, which, without looking, I'm sure that would have been number 2 on the Browns last season. And I'm pretty sure that would probably be pretty close to the number 2 on the Browns this coming season, at least at wide receiver. So there are a couple. Let's see. There are 3 other guys of note that are available at wide receiver. But honestly, Keenan Allen has had the best stats last year. So Tyler Lockett is 32. He had 49 catches for 600 yards. Amari Cooper and Tyler Lockett's 32. Amari Cooper is going to be 30. We know his history. It's a matter of whether you think last year was a fluke and if he's got anything left or not. Does he have a relationship with Flacco, and does he have anything left to give? I don't know. The other guy is Tyler Boyd, who's 30, 39 catches for 390 last year. So what do you guys think? What do you think? I guess a few things. Do you still think a trade is possible, that the Browns could still obtain a veteran wide receiver in a trade like Andrew Berry's done a couple times already? And we can get a guy in his contract year and sign him and trade a 4th or 5th round pick and pick him up? Or do you think the Browns would actually go and sign one of these free agents? And if so, which one do you like the best?
I would say that I would believe he's going to make a trade for one versus getting one of these, younger third, unless they say, hey, let's throw the band back together and bring, Amari back. Yeah. And that, Amari is young, and obviously he had an incredible year with Flacco. And it's really tough for me to believe that in 1 year you'll lose it all. I don't know what happened last year, but that was bizarre. But I would actually could see them making a trade, because one thing I've learned is that Andrew Berry does not like drafting wide receivers early, and he hasn't been overly successful at drafting them at all. I think he's looking for a proven commodity.
Yeah. Jeff, what do you think?
I think it comes down to money. Does Keenan Allen drop down into our price range? Because right now I don't think he is in our price range. If you're looking for a deal, I think Kelly. I was just looking at DJ Shark. He was with the Chargers last year. Must have been injured because he didn't play at all. But I mean, back in 2019, he had 1,000 yards for the Jags. So a reclamation project like that, maybe at a deep discount in terms of going out and signing a veteran. We've already got a couple of the guys like that on the roster. But I'm with Eric. I believe we're going to be able to trade for somebody. We're going to find a team that has an abundance of receivers that will take one of our day 2 or 3 picks for that guy, depending on how accomplished he is, where he is in his contract, those kinds of things.
How many 6th rounders do we have next year?
2, I think. I think only 2.
That's usually what we'll let go.
We got spoiled this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see Jeffrey's comment about Christian Watson. We've talked on this podcast a couple times about trying to do a potential trade with the Packers, because they are absolutely just loaded at wide receiver. I mean, we mentioned Romeo Doubs, who's a guy that Jeff and I both liked coming out of the draft. And I know he's in his contract year right now. I don't. Watson probably is too, is he not, Jeff?
Watson's coming off an injury, and I think he was a first rounder, so I think he's got one more year. But he missed a lot of time last season with an injury. So I think the Packers at this point are sort of in a holding pattern to see which of these guys are ready to go and what they look like, because of health issues. But they have a ton of depth, and there's a few more teams in the league that have a ton of receivers that, we just have to wait for some of that low-hanging fruit.
And Barry likes to do that, right? Like, he likes to pick up guys that are in their contract year, former first-round picks. If you can get them for a 5th or a 6th, if somebody's got an abundance of receivers, that might be the play.
Yeah. I mean, Jeffrey, I like Traylon Burks a lot as well.
Yeah.
I think that he and Harold Fannin would be kind of the same player. The way I envision the Browns using Harold
Kind
Fannin.
of a big guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know if that's necessarily the right fit, although I like the guy a lot. So yeah, there's options out there. I just think we have to be patient, and Andrew Gray's going to pull something off. I don't see us going into the season with the group that we have now.
Yeah. What do you guys, big picture wise, how focused do you think they are on trying to win this year? Because I don't know. Part of you got 2 number 1 picks next year, and I firmly believe that they'll probably look at another quarterback next year. And I just part of me thinks they invested a little bit in the defense this year. They added some quarterback competition. They got a guy to get some fan base interest in with Shador. They backed in the running backs. I think we still need a receiver. I still think we might draft an offensive lineman eventually. But I don't know that this is gonna. I don't know that this is gonna be the year, right? That we're, Vegas. The over under in Vegas is what, 4.5? I don't know, 4.5 wins.
Something like that, 4.5, 5.
We used
like
5.5 last week, and but yeah, it's low.
So my point is, it's like, are we going to spend capital on, unless they see a receiver that, hey, this is a guy we can get in their contract year, and he's got a lot of potential, and he's our next Jerry Jeudy. I don't know, right? Like, otherwise, I don't know if they want to waste their capital, their draft capital.
Right.
Yeah, I don't see them spending high draft capital on a trade. I mean, they haven't historically done that in these wide receiver trades.
And you don't have to.
No,
you don't.
What did we get Jerry Jeudy for? I don't remember. A third?
Lower than that, I think. A fifth. I think they got him for a fifth, and they got Amari Cooper for a fourth.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And these guys have put up 3,000-yard seasons in a row. I mean, between them.
Yeah.
So, they've been, between the two of them, they've been the Browns' number 1 receiver three years in a row, and they've given up a 4th and a 5th round draft pick for them.
Yeah.
So,
amazing.
You bring up a great point, Eric. Is what are the Browns' goals this season? Are they really? I mean, I think they're trying to build a good team, but are they realistically thinking that they're going to make a playoff push this year? Okay, I don't think so. I don't think that's realistic. I think this year is about a few things. It's about seeing some of these young guys, and in particular the quarterbacks. And we've talked about it, but I think you have to see Gabriel and Sanders enough to know what you have in these guys. 100%. Because if one of these guys is the real deal, you don't need to spend your 1st round pick on a quarterback next year, right? Yep. Then you can use those picks on something else, or you can trade one of those picks, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think this is a growth year. This is going to be an opportunity to play a lot of young guys and get them some experience, so that if one of the young quarterbacks isn't the answer, they can invest in a high draft pick quarterback next year, and then the people around them will have some experience. I think that'll help a young quarterback.
I think you used a good word there, Eric. I think that I would call this an investment year. This is a year where you're trying to put behind you the mistakes of the past and get healthy again in terms of your roster and your salary cap, right? That you've now got some young guys and you transition. So it's a 2-year reset to get past what happened with all the negatives from the Watson trade, and position yourself to be ready to go out and compete in 27, I think. So we could get really lucky and find our quarterback this year. Maybe we're just super lucky.
Could be.
After 26 years, and we find our quarterback, right? None of us are going to hold our breath for that, right? But
No.
if we are, then great. If we're not, I think we're positioned really well to take at least one more swing at that next year, and maybe two next year, right? But
I like that
solve
option.
solve that biggest problem first. So that this year, you establish the bones of an offense. I think you've got a pretty decent defense. If you can put the bones of an offense together this year, then you know what you need to add to it next year to really get it to a contending level.
Yeah,
totally agree.
Yeah, and they added the offense needed so much help, and man, they added the 2 stud running backs. They added the fan and the tight end, which should, a lot of people like him. I mean, I'm just anxious to see how they use him, how often they use him. To me, I mean, he should be a big piece this season.
We're gonna see a lot of 2 tight end sets. And it's gonna be fun.
I think we will. And the 2 quarterbacks. I mean, so they really tried, put some effort into making the offense better. But yeah, these guys are all rookies. So the reality of this team just all of a sudden making a run at the playoffs this year is not very high. So you want these guys to play. You want to see what you have in the 2 quarterbacks. The other thing I've talked about is the fact that depending on what they do at wide receiver, you want to find out what you have in all these extra wide receivers you have on the team that just haven't played much yet. Guys like Thrash and Bell.
Get Bell back out there.
And Tillman. These guys need to play enough, or a decision needs to be made, because if these guys aren't the future, man, get them off the roster and get somebody else.
Get them off the roster. 100%.
Yeah. So they either need a chance or the team just needs to acknowledge that these are not guys we're going forward with.
Yeah.
I think those guys have an opportunity to earn snaps this year. And that's what they need to do. They need to seize that opportunity to earn snaps. And whichever guy does that, you're going to have a chance to find out what his ceiling is. Can we come up with another, 800-yard guy out of that group? I don't think so, but there's always a chance. And if you're playing long shot vets, guys who are, reclamation projects and stuff, as opposed to those rookies, then you're right. You're never going to find that out.
Yeah. I think we're going to, my gut tells me we'll see, we'll get a chance. Well, I think some of those receivers, if they're going to go out and trade for a receiver, I think some of those receivers will get their opportunity in camp. And then I don't think they'll make the 53 this year. I actually think that they'll probably,
somebody's going to be out. Yeah.
Some of these guys will be out, but I think this year, like I honestly think this year, I don't know that we have now. I don't know. It might be crazy, but I'd be surprised if we have a quarterback or a combined throw for over 3,500 yards. I see us running the ball a lot, and I see us throwing the ball to the tight ends a lot. And Jerry Jeudy certainly will get his fair share of receptions and targets. But it's just, I think they're going to, especially if we end up playing one of these rookies, I think they're going to want to bring them along slowly. The quarterback that I think about, and people will absolutely hate for me to say this, that was probably brought along the best way possible was probably Ben Roethlisberger. Think about the way the Steelers brought him along. They were playing, what was the guy's name before him? Tommy Maddox. They were playing Maddox, and they slowly brought Roethlisberger in. But what'd they do? They ran the hell out of Jerome Bettis. And just let Ben throw the easy passes and brought him on. The Browns need to do that. They need to bring a quarterback along slowly, bring them along the right way. Don't just throw them to the wolves. And I think maybe the way we've built through this draft, we've added a tight end. We got David Njoku. I think most of us believe the offensive line should be better, be healthier. solid running game. That's why I still think they should bring back Nick Chubb, because he brings back leadership. He brings back great, pass protection and do some of those things. Be a good teacher for some of these young running backs. But I could see these quarterbacks getting a chance to play eventually. And I think they'll be in a good position because we'll be able to run the ball, protect the ball, use the tight ends. So hopefully that's the way they go about it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And play a lot of 19 to 14 games.
Yeah.
Right.
You mentioned 3,500 yards. I mean, the team record's like 4,000 by Bryant Sight back in his MVP season. So
That's right.
3,500 is a pretty big number for the Browns. I was trying to pull it up here, but all the anytime you try to pull up stats for Browns quarterbacks, and it's they're all split.
It's
So
depressing.
I'd have to do a whole lot of addition and subtraction. I can't find it by season. But,
What did Baker throw for in 2020?
I mean,
That would be a good one to look up.
He threw for it was probably close to that, I think, because he was pushing the touchdown record at that point, which is I think 30 touchdown passes. And he ended up with 20, 27, 28, 29, something like that.
That's right.
That season. But
Yeah.
I don't think he was anywhere close to 4,000. He may have had like 3,200, maybe
Right.
closer to 3,500.
Yeah.
Brian
Baker's-
Sipe's team record for yardage is 41.32 in 1980.
Mm-hmm. I knew it was 4,000. He's the only guy that ever threw for 4,000 yards. And that year he threw for 30 touchdown passes, and that's the team record. 30 touchdown passes is our record. If you compare that to every other team in the league, even the 4,000, which is an aberration for this team, because the next lowest is probably 3,500 or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Baker
Baker Mayfield threw like 45 for Tampa last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even you guys, even back going into the 80s with Bernie, we have never been a passing team where
we've
it's
been a
just
running
the
team,
feature.
always.
It's always
Never been a high scoring offense.
Never. Maybe in 86 when we went 12-4, maybe there was some games there that we put up some points. But I mean, man, it's incredible how we've struggled to have a super effective passing game. Maybe
We've
that's
had
by
a
design.
lot of great
I don't
running
know.
backs, though. We've had a lot
We
of
have
great
had
running
that.
backs.
Yeah.
Hell, even now.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got a couple minutes if anybody's watching has any other questions, but yeah, let's Jeffrey, we haven't been able to get to all of your comments, but we appreciate them all. Jameis,
I saw one
Dansby Johnson.
about the quarterbacks. It just bears repeating. I think that I believe that Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett are competing for one spot.
I agree.
So
yeah, I agree too.
Regardless of which guy you like, okay, they're competing for the guy who's going to open the season this year and try to establish our offense in whatever version it's going to be this year in the first few games. So whoever gives us the most stability and the best chance to solve a lot of those questions in the early games, not necessarily who's going to help us win against that really tough schedule, but who can build the foundation for the back half of the schedule when we're going to be playing the rookies more than likely. That's who's going to win that job. And then the rest of the year, we're going to be looking at Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. And just because we have to find out if one of those guys is going to be our quarterback in 26 and beyond.
I can't imagine how it could be any other way. Can you, Eric? Can you imagine any way that they cannot play Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel at least, 10, 12 games total? I mean, between two of them?
Yeah,
If
they're
not
going to
more.
have to play. Well, if you guys look at our schedule, right, which I think I made a comment, including the London game and the bye, we have like one home game in 7 weeks. If you look at if you truly look at the schedule
That's tough.
and factor out London and the bye, we're never home until the second half of the season. And so there is I hate to be Debbie Downer here, but we could be 2-6. And at that point, it's time to play the rookies.
Well, Jeff's going to say you're being pretty optimistic going 2-6.
Yeah.
What do you have us at? 1-7, 0-8?
I said last week that when we go to the Dolphins game in week 7, there's a very good chance we could be 0-6 at that point.
Yeah, and that's the game I'm looking to go to, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, we will have played the Bengals at home and the Packers at home by that point. So the Dolphins will be our third home game. Especially if the rest of the team just really struggles. If we struggle to put together a cohesive offense. Look, there's always the chance that things really come together in camp, and we figure out how to utilize all these new guys and everybody's way ahead of the schedule and so forth. And maybe we steal a few games early and then the Browns have to make a decision. Okay, look, are we ready to win now? That would be awesome. But I think realistically, we have to look at this as we're going to establish a new offense based on the disaster of an offense that we had last year. And that's really what has to happen early in the year. Just establish a respectable NFL offense. And if I see that in week 7, I don't really care who the quarterback is, because I think the quarterbacks are going to earn playing time based on what they do in practice and who the coaching staff feels is ready to play. And if Dylan Gabriel's ready to play in week 5 and Shedeur Sanders isn't ready to play until week 10, that's fine. It doesn't matter to me. As long as each of those guys gives us something to look at so that we can say, all right, we're moving forward with this guy or that guy or nobody, right? Let's just get all those questions answered.
I agree. I don't know. I think these rookies coming in are going to be kind of hyped up. So I'm a little optimistic. I know they're going to be rookies, but I think guys like Fannin and Judkins are going to come in just ready to play really well. Obviously there's going to be a learning curve there. So I don't expect them to come out and play like all pros, but I think we're going to see some good things. I have a good feeling about the offense growing, and maybe playing a little bit better than what we expect even early on. And, I'm not going to expect, 25, 30 points or anything out of this offense, but I think that overall, just with the players that we've added, I think we'll see some better things from the offense. So I think the Browns will be probably in more close games than what we think, or than what the national media thinks.
I think if Flacco can win the starting job and he can resurrect what he did in 23, then I think we could surprise some folks because the offensive line is back. We're running the Stefanski offense. Jerry Jeudy will be in. Oh man, imagine Flacco, dropping back to pass, bootlegging with his epic ball fakes that he can do, and then stepping into a throw down to Jeudy deep into the post. That's what we're going to be looking at. We're going to see, student body right, student body left, play action, and it's going to be a deep ball. And I hope that's what we see because I think I was thinking that to your point, Jeff, it's going to come down to Pickett or Flacco for the start. And I think if Flacco wins the job, I'd imagine we'd look to trade. We only spent a 5th round pick on him. If we can get 6th or 7th on him. Yeah,
if we can get something back for him, they'll probably do that. So yeah, Jeffrey. As far as Cedric Tillman, I think it depends on whether the Browns make a trade for another wide receiver or not. If not, he's going to be the number 2 guy, right?
But guys, look at Tillman's stats. to the point when he got injured, he was coming on. He was coming on strong.
He definitely was.
So
he definitely was.
if he can return to that form, a buddy of mine that's here locally with one of my brother and I's best friends. I mean, he's a huge Tillman fan. He thinks that he's a rising star. So I'd love it if he came in and established himself as the real number 2. That'd be great.
I threw out his career numbers last week, Eric. It's 50 receptions, 563 yards. That's his career numbers. I'd take that this year.
Yeah,
I'd be thrilled. I'd be thrilled if he did that again this year.
11 yards of reception.
Because, again, think about the type of offense we're going to be running and how many opportunities there really will be for our number 2 receiver.
Yep.
Great. Yeah, it's going to be about the tight ends, the running game, Jerry Jeudy. And, if that number 2 wide receiver you gets 500 yards, you probably are looking at 3,500 yards passing yards for the QB.
Yep.
Yeah.
Flacco fever. That's where my money.
Flacco fever. We will find out.
Let's hope he can bottle it.
Absolutely.
I hope so.
Okay, guys. So we've been going a while here. Everybody, we appreciate everybody checking us out live. I don't know how much difference it makes watching us live versus not, but we appreciate the interaction and it's been a lot of fun doing it this way. So we're gonna keep rolling with it with the live editions, and thank you guys for that. So let's get some closing thoughts here. So Eric, kind of closing thoughts do you want to leave everybody with?
Yeah, well, one, I would say this. I love this format. It's good to see you guys because usually we were just voice only, so this is fun.
Yeah.
Hope I get a chance to join you guys again. Always enjoy this. But I'd say I'm excited for the season. I mean, I don't really have any expectations. I told my wife if we're going to buy tickets, we're going up there to have fun and potentially go see some family while we're up there. And if the Browns win, that's just a bonus. So as long as everybody's on that same page, let's just go up there and have fun. But I'm a Browns fan. Every time the season starts, we all, get excited and feel like kids again, and we hope that this is the year, right? And I'm never gonna. I might in my text furies with my brothers might say we're gonna suck and go 4-13, but down deep inside, I'm praying it's 13-4. So I can't wait for it to. I can't wait for it to start. Come on, we're Browns fans.
Totally. Yeah, I think we all understand that.
Yeah.
So, and we appreciate you having you on, Eric. It's
always fun.
This has been so much fun doing the video versions because honestly, it's like having everybody on for the first time again.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
Just to be able to do it face to face, and it's really cool for us to do this. We're really enjoying it. So
yeah, awesome. Glad you're doing it.
Yeah. So Jeff, closing thoughts tonight.
Yeah, I hope we get to see you at the Dolphins game, Eric. That would be fun. As far
I'm negotiating with the tickets guys right now. I'm trying to get a decent deal.
As far as expectations for this year, that's kind of the theme for tonight. Traditionally, Cleveland teams have done extremely well when expectations are really low. So
true.
We got that going for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and a bunch of rookies that are not ingrained in any negativity or whatsoever. So yeah,
hopefully.
And if we don't get Nick Chubb back, maybe we can treat Sampson and Judkins like Biner and Mack again, right? Maybe that's how we'll live that down.
That would not be a bad thing.
Wouldn't it? That'd be pretty sweet.
Absolutely. So, well, we appreciate everybody listening to us again. The Browns Blitz is part of the Fanatical Elves Network and Fans First Sports Network. So be sure and check us out on YouTube and and on iTunes. We appreciate you guys subscribing, and not only to us, but to the other podcasts on the network. This is always a lot of fun for us, and we appreciate everybody who's been following us over the years and or checking us out for the first time tonight. So this has been the Browns Blitz. We thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.